to request from Cairo, Dr. Mohsen Abu Ramadan, the political analyst, and also from New York, Mr. Barry Donadio, the political analyst and military analyst. Welcome again to our program. And we'll move to Cairo. We are speaking about what happened in Tel Aviv on Saturday. This demonstration by 10,000 Israeli to continue the release of the hostages. I would like to discuss this point, which is the driving force between regarding to what impact the Israeli position could pressure Netanyahu to continue ceasefire agreement in Gaza. Turning Mike. I believe it's a strong pressure point in addition to opposition and also the security institution, which start to oppose Netanyahu's recent move by removing Ibal, which is a chief of one of the most important institutions in Israeli government, including which is Shabak, especially after this disqualification of the recent information Netanyahu has received this money transformed from Qatar, which has increased the importance to oppose Netanyahu and pressure Netanyahu. Confirming these previous pledges that Netanyahu is corrupted, we are speaking about these movements in the street. The previous, they have been only focusing on the releasing of the hostages, and right now they focus on releasing the hostages and ending the war, because Israeli people right now, they feel like the target, the war goals are achieved, and there is no reason for having further operations in Gaza Strip. The second point is the implication of this war in the Israeli immigrants and in the economic situation, in addition to the impact of this on the Haredim group and all of these issues. All of that have created a lot of crises inside Israel, and they now want to stop the war in addition to releasing the hostages. In addition, because have Netanyahu's, what about turning mics? What about the American side? If Netanyahu doesn't want to resume the war as an announcement, we can say that this proposal is somehow considered an American pressure in order to continue the ceasefire agreement, even through having the continue the first phase. The turning mics, this is answering from Cairo. Turning mics, I believe it was clear, as Witkoff has been pressuring before Trump is back to the White House by 2 days. He has been pressuring Netanyahu to accept a ceasefire agreement on 3 stages, which is known as Doha Agreement. But Netanyahu is trying to escape from this agreement, manipulating this agreement because he wants to maintain Smotrich's presence in the government and want to maintain his ruling party to maintain his personal interest in that field. I believe he partially was able to drag Witkoff to his personal goals regarding prolonging the first phase, because we know that the first phase has ended, and he have skipped a lot of standards and a lot of commitments regarding the first phase, regarding the humanitarian protocol, a lot, because many aid is not delivered. And I really wonder what you have said, what your guests have said, that there is peace in the Gaza right now. What kind of peace your guest from US has mentioned? About 2 million people are under blockade, are electricity cut, using starvation as a weapon of war in order to target civilians. What kind of peace he is speaking that we currently have in Gaza Strip? He's speaking about targeting of civilians who are having the iftar lunch in Gaza Strip. They did nothing except they are gathering to eat. What kind of peace you were guessed from US means that we are having right now? When we say that Netanyahu is, when he said Netanyahu is not considered an obstacle, everyone is saying that Netanyahu is an obstacle, even inside Israel. The agreement that was happening currently is Netanyahu is Biden proposal, which was in July, and Netanyahu has refused this proposal before. So if Trump want to have the peace delivered, so there is something in so-called international order and two-state solution, which is refused by Trump. Trump only understands the peace according to the strengths, not the peace according to justice, human rights. Turning Mike's, it's a very important point. One of the main goals of ceasefire agreement, achieving the two-state solution. Before moving with this point, I would turning Mike's guest is speaking. I believe there is a retreat of the principle of two-state solution during the meeting that takes place at Montreal, that the G7 has retreated from the two-state solution for something, an unclear objective, which is titled by political dimensions for Palestine cause, not about having a Palestinian recognition according to a General Assembly resolution and according to United Nations resolution and the ICJ and the ICC resolutions, who confirmed that the West Bank, Jerusalem, and the Gaza Strip are all a one Palestinian state, in addition to other 5 members inside Europe, headed by Ireland, Spain, and Norway, has been recognized a Palestinian state. There is a lot of pressures by the U.S. to retreat from the two-state solution, and there is no solution except having an independent Palestinian state. If Trump really want to have peace, this is the only way. Turning right and move to New York, Mr. Donadio. How do you think we could achieve this two-state solution from the American perspective?
First of all, I just want to say the kind of peace that the president is trying to achieve and has achieved in comparison to months ago. And I understand the frustrations of your other guests. We're all frustrated at what we're seeing on television. I don't think anybody here in the United States wants innocent Palestinians dead. So I will agree on some of the points that your guest has made. Now, as far as Trump moving forward, it is a priority for the Trump administration to bring a peace. It has to be the first step in any kind of a two-state solution. If there's no peace, how can there be a two-state solution? So you're seeing the president not only have his special envoy speak to Hamas. We watched the Arab Summit just recently, where all the Arab leaders came together, led by President Sisi of Egypt. I think it was an honorable meeting, and I think it was done out of emotion and not so political, but a want to help. So I don't think President Trump and the United States is numb to all of the key players in the region. We are leaning heavily on President Sisi as well as King Abdullah of Jordan. And ultimately, the goal is going to be peace. But we also have to understand there is nowhere, anywhere else in the world, that it's okay to hold 59 hostages. Only in this situation, for some reason, we're trying to rationalize that it's okay for Hamas to hold 59 people hostage until they get what they want. It's not okay. It's equal to being a slave. It's equal to being slavery. It's unacceptable. Okay? So ultimately...
But achieving the second phase, I would like to understand your points in this point. Achieving the second phase of the ceasefire agreement, including releasing more hostages, including also releasing more Palestinian prisoners. So if we have achieved the second phase, we'll achieve all of these requirements.
Well, we've seen this. We've seen Israel has released in likes of 1,400 Palestinians that were in prison, that were convicted by a court and were in a jail. They were not hostages, okay? They were released for a small number of hostages that were Hamas. And I think this was a show of Israeli tolerance and forgiveness and trying to solve this problem. Make no mistake about it. Yes, there's still hostilities in Gaza, but nothing compared to what it was months ago. We are getting closer to a peace, and we have to let it play out. That's what we're seeing. That's why Special Envoy Witkoff is over there speaking to Hamas. I'm hopeful, and I believe there will be peace.
we have also seen the health conditions for the Palestinian prisoner who came out of this. Hamas have asked to open the crossings in order to deliver the aid before releasing the Israeli hostages, considering that Israeli is preventing the delivery of aid since 2nd of March, which has humanitarian implications on the civilians. To what extent, sir, do you think that that Israel closing of crossings have an impact on the ceasefire agreement and also have an impact on the civilian? And how do you think this term of not delivering the aid could make it worse? Because, as you know, Israel have refused to enter these aid into Gaza Strip.
My understanding, not all the aid has been cut off. There's been some aid cut off, but not all of it. And then we also have other countries that can provide aid as well. So it's not just an Israeli venture. You've also seen the United States provide aid as well in this situation. So I'm not quite sure if that story is 100% correct. We have seen in the past the Israelis have thousands of humanitarian trucks.
I'm sure, sir, that what I said is correct and accurate.
I would just say at this point that I disagree, and with that point. But overall, I think you will see humanitarian aid come back. You're going to see Gaza rebuilt. You're going to see Gaza rejuvenated once the war is over. And I do believe Gazans will return. I think some will leave that want to leave, but I think overall you will see Palestinians in Gaza. I foresee the airport being rebuilt. I even foresee the railway being rebuilt, the railroad. And I see a peace in Palestine, but we have to get over this hurdle. And Hamas has to disappear. Hamas has to disappear as an armed political group for any of this to happen.
Mr. Mohsen, I don't have a lot of time, but right now, what is the most close scenario is adopting Woodcock proposal and to continue these truths until the 20th of April, or Netanyahu will insist to return to the start turning mics. I believe the second option. That is what I recommend, because there is no serious pressure from the U.S. administration. They are just a proposal. Do you think even after this direct communication between U.S. and the Hamas during Mike, even after the direct communications, Netanyahu went to fail these communication and want to continue this ongoing war in Gaza Strip? In the same time, he increasing the opposition. And also after the opposition became more active, after he has been trying to dismantle a lot of leaders in different security institutions, Netanyahu's interest required to drag the U.S. in confrontation of Iran and the Houthi. Turning mics, we have seen this breaking news for Trump saying that any target, we will consider it as a target from the Iran regarding the point of the Houthi and the escalation in Yemen. In Trump's campaign, he stated that I don't want war, and maybe he will succeed in different regions, but I believe that Trump's weakness point is Netanyahu and Israel, that somehow dragging him to the confrontation tension in the Middle East, turning mics even after these Russian American rapprochement that you could change the equation in the Middle East. Do you think Russia somehow will have a role to de-escalate the situation? Even Washington has delivered the message reported for Russia before attacking the Houthi, and there is a high communication between Russia and U.S. A lot of things related to the Russian-Ukrainian war, but also it have a reflect on other things in different regions. Can I have a quick comment on that? Turning mics, Russia has a rule, especially that President Putin, there is a mutual trust between President Putin and President Trump, but all of that require an Arab effort in order to attract the Russian stance. The Palestinian should direct and head towards Moscow right now in order to rearrange and fix their political divisions and to try to exploit the Russian stance to pressure US. And I believe all of this must be combined with Arab's support, especially from Egypt and Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, as Kingdom of Saudi Arabia becoming a center of international dialogue, especially for what's happening inside Ukraine and what's happening inside Russia and the US. We are speaking about some chances that might be used in that field. Turning mics regarding the reconstruction of Gaza Strip, the Egyptian proposal that include all the details of reconstruction. This conference of Arab states, and also we have seen the peace conference in Egypt. So Egypt is always having these positive steps in order to maintain the Palestinian cause. I would like to thank my two guests, Mr. Mohsen Abu Ramadan, the political analyst, and from New York, I would like to thank Mr. Barry Donald, the political and military analyst. Thank you so much, Mr. Barry. It was my pleasure to give you this interpretation.